Boys and girls, this is Miss DeAngelis again today with your skills lesson. Let's take a look at what we're going to learn today. We'll practice distinguishing between the f and v sound. We'll read and write words with the v sound using v and ve. And we'll read the story The Hike and answer comprehension questions. Are you ready? Let's review. This is our flashcard for the sound and letter V. The sound is V. As you can see, the power bar is almost all the way full. This means that this sound and spelling is used very often. Let's see where it's most commonly used. In the word vet, V, and the initial sound, and the word vent, V, also the initial sound. This is the spelling V-E. This sound only says the V sound, even though there's an E. If we look at our power bar, it is very, very small, which means this spelling is not that common. Let's take a look at some examples. We have the word 12, serve, and carves. All of the E's in those spellings are silent because they're at the end of the word. Let's practice. Say the f sound with me 3 times. Are you ready? Let's go. F, f, f. Now we're going to practice the V sound. Say it with me 3 times. V, V, V. Now we're going to see what sound we hear in the initial part of the word, which means the beginning. If you hear the V sound, we're going to put it under the V. If you hear the F sound, we'll put it under the F. We hear the word van. What does van start with? Right, van starts with V. We also hear the word fan. Fan. Starts with f. I'm going to say 2 more words. We have vat and fat. The spellings and sounds are similar, but the initial sounds are different. Vat and fat. The next pair of words are vine and fine. Vine, fine. These also have a similar spelling, but a different initial sound. The next word we have is views and fuse. These are spelled differently, but they sound the same, right? Except for the initial sound. Views, V, and fuse, F. And the last one, we have vault and fault. They sound very similar, but their initial letters are different. We have vault, V, and fault. Great job, guys, for the alternative spellings for the V sound. Let's go over our word box. We have the word verbs, fan, serve, river, 12, vote, never, and vet. Number 1, run and jump are. Great job. They are verbs. Number 2, when I was blank, I went to camp. Awesome. When I was 12, I went to camp. Pause the video if you need time to write. Remember, no floating letters. Number 3, she will blank you a big snack. What fits best there? Awesome. Serve. She will serve you a big snack. Number 4, we took the dog to the... What word fits best there? Right, vet. We took the dog to the vet. Number 5, I went swimming in the... What word fits best? Great job. In the river. I went swimming in the river. Number 6, you blank can tell. What fits best there? Never. You never can tell. Remember, no floating letters. Will you blank for me? What word fits best there? Vote. Will you vote for me? Great job, guys. Number 8. Can we drive to the park in a blank? What word fits best there? Van. Can we drive to the park in the van? Awesome job. Now we're going to read the story, The Hike. Today's story is going to be about a hike. Remember, Kate and Nan had been on a hike when they found the Spanish coin. Let's take a look at our vocabulary. Carve, to cut something away. For example, I love to carve a pumpkin on Halloween. Sayings and phrases, a bit, a short amount of time. For example, I'll be ready in just a bit. Drifted off, was carried away or blown off. For example, the dirt drifted off the carrot I pulled out of the garden. The hike. The next morning, we went on a hike. After a bit, we stopped for lunch. When Max finished his lunch, he asked, "Can Kate and I look for rocks?" Jack said, "Okay." "Kate," Max said to me, "bring your fork. We can use it to dig up rocks." I grabbed my fork and we went off to look for rocks. Max pointed at a bump on the side of a cliff and said, "Let's dig that rock out." The rock did not look at all that large. But when we started digging, we soon saw that it was larger than it had seemed. After a bit, Max said, "Gee, it must be 2 feet long." We need to keep scratching in order to carve it out of the side of the cliff. We went on scratching with our forks. "Let's tug on it," Max said. "I bet we can get it out by ourselves." We grabbed and tugged it. It popped out. But so did a big cloud of sand and dust. Max and I fell down. Once the dust and sand had drifted off, I saw Max standing there with the thing in his hands. "It's not a rock," he yelled. "It's a bone." It was the biggest bone I have ever seen. It was 3 feet long. Jack and Nan came running. "Goodness," said Nan, "that is one large bone. Where did you get it?" Max pointed to the spot where we found it. Jack set the bone on the ground. Then he took a picture of the bone and said, "We need to get it to an expert to look at this bone and tell us what sort of bone it is." Let's go over some discussion questions. What does everyone do in the morning? Right, they all go hiking. Number 2, what do Max and Kate go look for after lunch? You got it. Max and Kate go look for rocks after lunch. Number 3, why do Max and Kate take forks with them? Right, Max and Kate take forks with them because they can use the forks to help dig out rocks. Number 4, how big was the bone that they pulled out from the cliff? Questions. Make sure you write your name and the date at the top of your paper, just like I did, because we still need to practice doing that. Number 1, when did Max and Kate dig up the bone? Max and Kate dug up the bone in the morning. Max and Kate dug up the bone after lunch, or Max and Kate dug up the bone after dinner? Right. Max and Kate dug up the bone after lunch. This was on page 38. Number 2. What did Max and Kate use to dig out the bone? Max and Kate used forks. Max and Kate used spoons. Max and Kate used hammers. Right, Max and Kate used forks. This was found on page 40. Number 3. How long was the bone? The bone was 1 foot long, the bone was 2 feet long, or the bone was 3 feet long. Right, the bone was 3 feet long. This was on page 42. Number 4. Who needs to look at the bone to tell Max and Kate the sort of bone it is? An expert needs to look at the bone to tell Max and Kate the sort of bone it is. Make sure when you're writing, you use your finger spaces and there are no floating letters. You can pause the video if you need time to write. Great job today, boys and girls. Make sure you have your parents send your work to your teacher, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.